Hey everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. It's Saturday, the 5th of May, 2018. We are having a fabulous day. The green may not look impressive, but as you know, we've had a really strong last couple of weeks, and we are hanging on to those. We are hanging on to those gains. So everybody, I'm sure, is feeling quite ecstatic. The current market cap overall is 466 billion. It keeps going in the right direction. And let's just take a look here. Nobody, even those that are in the red, is just slightly in the red. Look at Bitcoin Cash. Go, Roger, go. I'm sure you're really happy about your coin's performance in the last few days. It has been strong. But if we come down here, there are just, oh, Justin, look at your Tron, 3.7%. Even after this fantastic week you had, you are still one of those coins in the green. I'm happy for you. So everybody's doing quite well. Those that are in the red are just not in a scary red double-digit position. Everyone's just either modestly up or modestly down. And don't let this BTC dominance scare you at all. We're at 35.9%. It's nothing to be surprised over. If we take a look here at the overall chart, you can see that the altcoins and Bitcoin, it's starting to narrow and it's starting to get closer together. I think as the money spreads, we had over what, 900 coins come out in 2017. So there's a lot of spreading of these investments, and so it's just natural that a lot of the money is flowing into these altcoins. So this isn't the lowest we've ever seen. The lowest actually occurred on January 18, according to CoinMarketCap, and it was down to 33.8%. So yeah, and it's kind of interesting. Look here, when we look at June 2017, Bitcoin and Ethereum were so close at sharing almost the same market share at that time. Ethereum lost a little bit of its market share, but is starting to come back. And I know that the people that are holding Ethereum are quite pleased with its performance. So I think everybody's pleased overall. And yeah, let's just feel great about where we are right now. Okay. As you all know, I love CryptoPanic.com. It's a news site that aggregates from all across the ecosphere, and it is one of my favorites because you can, at a glance, really see what's going on. I just took a look before I started the video, and I found, news is pretty much positive. The only news that I thought maybe had a little bit of a negative is that there's some major trading going on in India as they are flocking to trade crypto ahead of the RBI ban. Well, I think India will figure it out. I mean, look at Korea. They are starting to reverse some of their decisions that they made to make it more difficult to be in the crypto space. And so I think countries are going to see that there's more benefit to work with cryptocurrency than to work against. But if you take a look here, let's see, I think Bitcoin expert says 2018 drop was normal. Yeah, so if you click on this, you can kind of just read a summary. Bitcoin expert and senior eToro analyst Maddie Greenspan today predicted that Bitcoin will reach new highs after a normal retracement in early 2018. Yeah, I think that that's what we are seeing. But here is something this is really thinking out of the box. So Bitcoin smart banknote in Singapore may be the secret for mass adoption. Has anyone heard about this yet? A new idea from the Singapore from the Singapore. A new idea from Singapore has arrived at the Bitcoin market. There is a new platform that launched pilot sales of Bitcoin banknotes. These new Bitcoin notes range from 0.001, blah, 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 blah. So I'm interested. Let me go to this story. So I just think this is really something to pay attention to. So these new Bitcoin notes range from 0.01 to 0.05 BTC and would facilitate the use of Bitcoin as a means of payment. Wow. So I mean, like a real banknote, kind of like I'm thinking like, I don't know, it's not like a paper wallet because, well, I just don't, I'm just reading this for the first time, as I'm sure many of you are too. And I'm just curious, what does the banknote look like? How do you buy these banknotes? Who's issuing these banknotes? So it is known that Bitcoin is changing the way we live, and there are many useful things that we can do with the virtual currency. Some people may find it difficult to buy and sell digital assets online exchanges. Yeah, I can agree with that. In order to simplify the overall experience, Tangem, a Switzerland platform developer, launched the first smart banknote at the Mega Megafash Suntec City store in Singapore. The banknotes have NFC technology included, and they would make it easier day-to-day payments with Bitcoin. Wow, this is some kind of news. I really think I haven't been able to think it through, but there's just no way that you could get my dad to open up an exchange and go through all the hoops and jump through all of the required steps to buy the coin and then to safely store the coin and then trade the coin. And he's just he just can't do it. And have to say that of in my family, there's probably more than just my dad who can't do it also. So, maybe this is something that's really going to work. With this development, users would be able to use virtual currencies with no transaction fees and in offline setting. This has the power to allow more traditional users to try the new method, this new method to use Bitcoin. Yeah, I'm just thinking this is just radically different. So at the moment, there will be a first shipment of 10,000 notes that will be delivered to prospective partners and other businesses around the world. The intention is to try commercial pilots and decide whether they have a good reception or not, find possible complications, and improve the overall experience. Well, I am just floored. Tangem operates from Switzerland and Singapore and performs manufacturing activities in South Korea, South China, and with research and development in Taiwan, Russia, and Israel. Tangem is developing different software platforms to foster mass adoption of blockchain technologies. I think this is a huge story. I just think, wow, I'm kind of speechless right now. All right. Well, the reason why I have decided to do this video today was because of this article here. And it's not going to be the last time we hear about Japan's FSA. FSA is the Financial Service Agency, and they again are cracking down on anonymous cryptocurrency. Decentralized exchanges are needed, according to this article. This is Shibuya Crossing, by the way. This is just about 10 minutes from my house. It is the busiest pedestrian crossing in the world. And every day, on average, every time the light changes, about 2,500 people cross. I think, though, if you go to this crossing on Halloween night, that number is double. So anyway, I'm always smiling when I see them use this particular intersection in the stories. So Japan is very peculiar when it comes to cryptocurrency. Despite legalizing this form of money in 2017, there's a growing hostility towards anonymous currencies. Well, I don't think it's peculiar because, as I have been stating, is that this country is very sensitive to organized crime using cryptocurrency, and also Japan wants to comply with the worldwide effort against money laundering. So more specifically, the Japanese FSA wants to see exchanges delist Monero, Dash, and Zcash. And it is a very controversial decision which may hurt merchant adoption for those currencies as well. All right, so I don't disagree. I mean, it could hurt the adoption for merchants, but the one thing is for sure is that anytime you try to ban something and there is a market for it, there is always going to be a supply. So I don't think that banning is really the right decision in this case. However, I do now understand a little further about why they are taking these steps, and I want to explain it in this video. So let's just first take a look a little more at this article. So despite Japan, I just want to go. So in fact, currencies such as Dash and Zcash aren't entirely untraceable. Research from 2017 confirms both networks have transactions which can be de-anonymized. That's a mouthful. In the case of Monero, that is a bit more problematic due to the completely different technical approach. Even so, the anonymous aspects can achieve a goal far greater than just providing a currency for criminal activity. So criminals like Monero, sort of, and it looks like research has indicated that the popularity of Bitcoin among criminals has decreased significantly, with other currencies taking its place. Well, the FSA is clamping down, and actually, I did find there's something wrong here. Unfortunately, CoinCheck and Monex already delisted all three currencies. CoinCheck is Monex. Monex just bought CoinCheck. So though, stating that these are two separate entities is incorrect in this particular article. But anyway, that they pretty much delisted because they are very tight in with the FSA. Monex is one of the most prominent financial services companies in Japan. So it's no surprise that they are just doing whatever the FSA says they want done. And, Kraken left and Binance left because I think they just don't want to right now have to meet the standards that the FSA is requiring, because the FSA wants to license all the exchanges in Japan, and in this licensing process, some of the people who had applied for license have just quit and backed out and said no thanks, and some have been actually shut down because they couldn't comply properly. So in order to keep the exchanges safe, this is Japan's way of handling this part of the infrastructure. So when I took a look at another story, we can see that DMM Bitcoin, the virtual currency exchange business, which is a part of the Japanese internet company DMM.com Group, is seeking to respond to the new and anti-money laundering rules outlined by the Japanese regulators. So they actually were in a little bit of hot water because they needed to have more they needed to comply with the additional AML, anti-money laundering requirements in Japan. So They have on their website a notice, and let me just tell you here, I can take you to, actually, I'm going to take you to the notice. So in this notice, it says, it's in Japanese, I'm sorry, I did a little translation for you. Thank you very much for your continued patronage of DM and Bitcoin. The financial service agency, financial institutions are engaged in anti-money laundering issues. So as a part of the services, we are having to ask you for your identity, confirmation documents, and according to the transaction style, and we may also ask additional confirmations about the transaction contents and the transaction purpose. So they ask for your understanding and cooperation in order to prevent the inflow of funds into criminal organizations and terrorist organizations. So they are trying to maintain a secure financial service with high convenience and create an environment where criminal organizations and terrorist organizations find it hard to operate. So if you want to have further information, and it takes you to the list of rules that have been set by the FSA. Now, this one was very interesting for me. So if we take a peek at the actual FSA website, we can see that here are the rules. And these rules apply for financial institutions like banks, life insurance companies, property insurance companies, security companies, lenders, fund clearing houses, and virtual cryptocurrency exchanges. And they are basically saying the same things that you found on the DMM website, that they are trying to they want to prevent funds to terrorists for the purposes of supporting the execution of terrorism, as well as the following case where money is handed over to countries, organizations, individuals, and criminals subject to sanctions by misusing financial services. So it's not only money laundering, but they're also trying to attempt at curbing the criminal organizations from being able to launder their money. And let's see, what else did I find when I did a little bit of translation here. Under these circumstances, when you see financial institutions, we will ask you to submit documents and ask questions that you were not previously requested to do in the past. And they are requiring strict identification and confirmation about the transactions, the purpose, the status of the assets, and and where the income is going. So these are all things that they are in checking these virtual exchanges. They are going on a very on-site basis and taking a look at the details of these transactions. So what I found here was the FATF, the Financial Action Task Force. So the FSA is saying the reason why we are being so strict is because we are a member of this FATF, and it's the first time I came across this. It's a very established organization, if you will, and here is a little bit on the Wikipedia about them. The Financial Action Task Force on Money Laundering, FATF, also known by its French name, Groupe d'Action Financière, GAFI, is an intergovernmental organization founded in 1989 on the initiative of the G7 to develop policies to combat money laundering. All right, so this is a very established, entrenched organization that has the regions around the world complying. So if we take a look, this is the FATE, and we can see the Financial Action Task Force is actually set up in these countries here. And but there's a lot more broken down region by region. So underneath, you can also then go to the Asia Pacific group of money laundering. So this is the APG, and then you can take a look on their website and you can find the members of the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force. And then you can click on the next one, which is the Eurasian group. So, we pretty much have the whole world covered except for, check this out, this is the high risk and other monitored jurisdictions. So here are the problematic countries according to FATF. What do we have here? We have Tunisia, Republic of Serbia, Syria, Iraq, Iran, Yemen, Ethiopia. Let's see if I can go out a little bit here. Who is this down here? Sri Lanka. And then if we go all the way to this tiny little island here, this is Trinidad and Tobago. Wow, they are really on a tiny piece of island property, huh? All right, so these are the problematic countries which are considered high risk, and they are being monitored. The call for action actually happens with the DPRK, which is the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. It's North Korea. And then the other one is Iran. So those happen to be the two hotspots within this organization's sites. So kind of interesting. I'm going to put a link to this in the bottom of the comment section if you want to take a look further. But I just don't think it's peculiar at all. Japan is just being very proactive because they are sensitive to organized crime, and they also are a member of the FATF. So they are going to be a good member and they're going to act first. And I think everybody who is a member is probably going to comply in very similar ways. Okay, so what does that mean? How do we go forward if we are owning one of these three coins or any of the coins that have anonymity? So I think that one of the answers that we have available to us are the decentralized exchanges. So I found a site that is pretty recent. I found the most recent site I could, which is on it was updated April 21st, just a few weeks ago. And these are the 9 best decentralized exchanges which you can use to trade right now. I'm not going to go item by item, but it does a pretty good job at showing the features and benefits of each of these websites. But then I started thinking, well, then, what is it that is taking so long to use these decentralized exchanges? So there are pros and there are cons of cryptocurrency decentralized exchanges. And this is a great article that talks about those pros and cons. And the decentralized cryptocurrency exchange dangers. Well, it says here that generally much more popular sites like CoinCheck or Coinbase, for example, have many more users and active trades. So I think there's more money behind them, and for the user, it's a better experience. They have a better customer support and a sense of professionalism. And I think for a lot of people, this is a real plus. So for the decentralized exchange, I think it's totally doable that we can improve in these areas so that we can compete. Also, one of the negatives is the mysterious ownership. Because decentralized exchanges can be used to avoid regulation, many choose to keep their founders' identities anonymous. Well, I think when you have something that's murky, it makes you feel uncomfortable when you have your money there. And that's not anything to be surprised about. And they're not regulated. So the lack of regulation, as mentioned above, can be a positive, but it also means that there is very little support from outside parties if a decentralized exchange goes down or is suspected of stealing funds from users. So it's kind of interesting, though, because we are using a decentralized currency, which doesn't require trust, but we seem to want trust from our exchanges. So it's intimidating to new investors. Decentralized cryptocurrency exchanges don't have the mainstream appeal of centralized ones, and this can scare many potential users who only want to work with companies that are officially approved by the country's government. Interesting, huh? So I think, yeah, well, I still am a believer that we're just in the very beginning stages of laying down the infrastructure for cryptocurrency. And I think the decentralized exchanges will happen and will become a reality. Um, I mean, if we look at the internet, uh, the Department of Defense started laying down copper wire and fiber optics and putting the communications in place in 1958. Really, really. And it wasn't until 1989 that we had the internet accessible. And then in 1993, we got the first Mosaic browser that was a graphical browser, and it got in the hands of millions of people, and people actually started using it. Then in 1996, some of the regulations started to come in. So one of the first big ones was the law against child pornography. And then in 2000, there was the lawsuit against Napster, which ruled in the rights of the copyright holders. And then in 2001, that was a huge one. U.S. Congress enacted the Patriot Act, and that removed the warrant required from government to wiretap telephones and internet, and they did it in the name of fighting terrorism. So, from 1958 to 1993, that's what it took to lay the infrastructure down, and we are just laying the infrastructure down now. And in 1996 is when the regulation really started to come in to play. So I think we can see kind of something similar happening in this ecosphere. And the last thing I want to bring up to you is that as a cryptocurrency coin holder, I think it's everybody's responsibility for this ecospace to stay positive and healthy. Um, Even if you're not a developer, I think there are places that you can contribute your ideas. And one of them is a place called DeckStack. It's a virtual hangout for decentralized projects, and it's a center of the decentralized world. And basically, for too long, we've all worked on the decentralized future in isolation, but we're a lot stronger when we share ideas and collaborate. So if you are a person who believes in improving this space, then I would encourage you to join DeckStack and see what's going on in terms of projects. And also, don't be afraid to make a contribution with some ideas. Yeah, that's how I feel. All right, boy, I really did a long one today. I'm so sorry if I kept your time, but I hope you found it useful. And I do hope you subscribe and hit that bell so that when I do a video, you'll be notified. Yeah, okay, everybody, please take care, and sayonara for now. Bye bye.